Michael, Carlos.
Pleasure.
Nice to meet you. Okay, and our viewers want to know the history and how did you guys come about, creating this wonderful, wonderful place.
So in 1980, we're immigrants from the Azores.
Yep.
I was born in the Azores. My parents were born in the Azores. We came over, and I was born in '77. We came over in '79. I was 2 at the time.
Yep.
And like most immigrants, you come and you work and you find jobs wherever you can find jobs. So both my father and my mother. My father landed a job as a boat carpenter. My mother as a textile seamstress, that kind of thing, which is a lot of the work you see here in the city of Florida. And my father had entrepreneurial aspirations, so he wanted to be his own boss at some point. In '88, he decided he's going to start an import business. We were an importer before we were importer distributor before we were a retailer. Yeah. So at that point, he starts a business importing coffee from Portugal, and he starts doing some small-scale distribution. So he starts going to restaurant to restaurant, bar to bar, trying to get them to carry his coffee. And he's getting a lot of doors closed on him. You're trying to break into the market, and some people are already selling what you're selling. So he had to add additional products to his portfolio and continue to be persistent, knock on doors. And even so, the wholesale business never really took off at that moment. So he started doing a little bit of retail out of that 3-car garage. At this point, he's working in a second shift in the factory as well, because he doesn't know he has a viable business yet. Right. So he's doing this, he's second shift, so 3 to 11, he's working in the factory, but first shift, he's working on the business, trying to build a client list, a clientele. That's how it all kind of really kicks off, and we run that small business. I'm 11, 12, 13 at the time. Yep. But I have very fond memories. If I wanted to spend any time with my father, I had to go to work.
Go to the garage.
But at the time, I was 11. It was like an adventure for me, right? So I was a kid. I grew up with a lot of kids of like minds. All our parents we were all Portuguese. We all went to school. We all hung out in the same circles. Most of my friends, their parents were factory workers, like my parents were factories. My father was trying to create his own way and path. And to me, at that time, it was even inspiring. So I was tagging along with him. I was going with him to New Jersey at the time, because at the time we were small. We were a small business. We didn't have the capital to import huge containers. So we're forced to work with importers in Jersey. And so we're going down there on a regular basis with rental trucks. Yep. To me, it's like I'm waking up at 4 or 5 in the morning, jumping in the truck with my father, going on a 3-4 hour trek to Jersey. At the time, no GPS, so we're looking at atlases to try to find place.
But, I remember those days.
But it was, again, it was, so I got to witness this firsthand, from inception. Yeah. And it was really, to me, it was, a lot of hard work, sweat equity, dedication. And that was my father, sort of what he's instilled in me, is that mentorship that I experienced was this example of, like, if you want to make it happen, you gotta persevere, you gotta keep pushing. And we're approached by a gentleman who has a 3-story mill building 3 blocks from our current location. He wanted to sell it, and he approached my father and said, "Look, I have this building." My father says, "Look, I don't have the capital." He says, handshake deal. One of these like real Portuguese community handshake deals. I'll be the bank. You pay me directly. So this is Mr. Fernando Oliveira and Lucia Oliveira, and as a result of that, these are the things that happen to you along the way that are transformative in your business, right? This like people having belief in you,
those encounters,
right? Or like having faith in your abilities, right? And saying like, you're good for it. Here's a handshake. In business, obviously, from the 3-car garage, really like sort of took a nice leap at that point. And then we acquire some of the properties around that property to make additional parking. And our business really starts to thrive. We really start to make a name for ourselves. So we're there for about 20 years. We have a really great run there. And there, our business is strictly ethnic. Everyone who's walking into that store is Portuguese. First generation, speaks Portuguese. That's the demographics at that market, which was great. That's the base. That's the foundation of this business. It was amazing. And my father really treated his customers well. He's masterful at dealing with customers. By taking care of you, say, you're going to let your friends know, and next time you come around, you're going to bring your friends, family. So this sort of really organic approach to business, real grassroots, like treat the customer really well. They're going to do the advertising for you. They're going to be the ambassadors, and that's how we built this business. But it was really the way he did it. like again, so organic, so like FaceTime with customer, real FaceTime, not the FaceTime we see today.
Right.
Just spending time with customers, understanding what the customer's needs were, wants were, and getting them what they wanted.
Yeah.
So that's why we built that business, and that really allowed us to create this really solid footing for the business. And I at the time I was in high school. I went through high school. I went to college. I went to Johnson Wales, which is in Providence. But while I was in college, I was working in the business, and I graduated from college. I went right into the business.
Yeah.
Just went straight into the business.
Right.
And so I was in the business, and while I was in the business, I knew that I had to contribute in some way. And in many ways, I loved the business we had, but it was my father's business, and it didn't really reflect me in any way. It was a business that my father had created,
Right.
and it was wonderful and it was great. But I wanted to put my stamp on the business. So in many ways, I lobbied for expansion. I wanted to expand the business, and we went back and forth as to what expansion looked like for our business. Were we going to expand our wholesale business? Because keep in mind, we were doing wholesale distribution.
Right.
We were doing wholesale and retail.
Right.
Did we want to expand wholesale, or did we want to go into retail? This building at the time was listed, and it was listed for a couple of years, but it was really high. The initial asking price for this building was too high. Our first business is a three-car garage. Our second business is an old soda factory.
Yeah.
This is a factory. We're not interested in the cookie cutter operation.
Right.
I'm not interested in building a new building.
Right.
With cinder blocks, with the drops. That's not our MO. It's never been.
Right.
So this feels like it's in our wheelhouse. This is like our DNA.
And the decor that you have selected for this place is very authentic. It's very Portuguese. It's you can tell there was a lot of time and effort. Intentionality about what type of tile to use in the background, what type of stands, everything.
Yeah.
And it's very Portuguese. It's very it feels like you're home. It feels like you're in Portugal.
Well,
when you walk into this place, you're
that's
wow.
Yeah.
Like this is what the Portuguese market looks like when you're in Portugal.
And that's what we were going for, right? We wanted, this market is even far more Portuguese than my previous market.
Yeah.
So I spent a lot of time on the decor of this place. I was here almost acting as a GC on a daily basis in this place, making sure that we got the light fixtures we wanted, we got everything we wanted. We exposed the brick, exposed this, we exposed that, like the themes, and really like amping up the themes of Portugal, so that when our customer base, who keep in mind is the original customer, they're coming into this market for the very first time, they have to feel something. They have to feel like we've done them proud in a sense. Because they are the reason why we're here. So my father was very protective of his space, as he should be. He worked so hard to acquire this space. Customer acquisition's hard.
Oh yeah.
Easy to lose them, hard to acquire.
In every business,
So he was very protective of the space. The space was very important to him, as it was to me. So I knew that we had to do this in a way that when they walked in, they felt it. So there's a reason why we have a salt card room, a full room dedicated to salt card. There's a reason why thematically there's, Portuguese symbolism, icons, themes of Portugal, so that people, when they walk through, they feel it. We created experience. People come in, they feel something, emotional connection. They walk in, they see, oh, this is more than a market. There's a cafe, there's this, there's that, and we really sort of amped up. We had a lot more shelf space. Our previous market was 4,000 square feet.
Wow.
This market's 20.
Wow.
So that's 5 times. We're going 5 times outside of the categories that Portugal is strong in. So wines, obviously, I see at that point an opportunity to showcase wines because whatever is available for Portuguese wines in Portuguese markets is minimal in terms of shelf sets. Not a whole lot. You had maybe 30, 40, 50 wines at the time. We have 1,700 at this moment SKUs of Portuguese wine. So we went hard on, we went big on all the categories. We said, let's supersize all the categories. And as a result of that, people walk in and say, I had no idea Portugal had so much to offer. Right? Now we have 50, 60 olive oils. And
it's not just Saloyo, but now you have but
who does that, that speaks to the second gen and third gen who have more disposable income and who are willing to spend up for better quality. Not to say that the stuff that their parents are consuming is bad quality, but that second, third generation, they can. and because they can, they will. I mean, and if it's from Portugal, they'll take pride in the fact that, oh, Portugal makes wines that are like this nice. They want to know. So we had an opportunity to educate that second gen, third gen with look at all the wonderful things that Portugal produces. You know what I mean?
And I want those second, third generation. They can, because of parents like yours
Exactly.
who worked hard
Yeah,
to establish their lives, so they can have a better start than they did.
100%.
So your dad's legacy is the epitome of what living the American dream is.
Yeah,
to come to this country and establish a life for your kids.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what your dad did.
No question.
And I know there's a lot of people that watch us that have the same type of story where they came to this country with nothing, and and now they have something because they worked so hard, and then the kids saw that they worked hard, and then they have the same work ethic. Like, hey, mom and dad, they were working 12, 13, 14 hours a day.
No, they sacrifice.
And we have what we have because of that.
No, that sacrifice is real. In our case, I witnessed it firsthand. I was fortunate enough to see what hard work and dedication looks like, and the outcomes of that. And in many ways, I've played a role in continuing the family legacy, along with my sister. My family, my father and mother are still involved. But it's just this is so personal.
Right.
This is not
just a business.
This is life. This is legacy. This is so much. And it's not like I'm doing this to like leave a massive It's just a very, very I can't detach from this. Right. This is a portion of who I am. And just like it was when this business for my father, when he was starting this business, it was like a sibling of ours. The market was he had a son.
I spend more money on your sibling than I do on you.
He had a son, a daughter, and a business. And, not to say we were created equal. Family was priority.
Right.
But the business was a sibling.
Right.
And in some ways, that's how it is. It's like this is like an extension of our family. I love my culture, and I love promoting the culture. I love being an ambassador of the culture.
Right.
Everywhere I go, I'm the Portuguese guy or this guy, and I own it in a way because I like.
You almost take pride on that.
Tremendous pride. Because in some ways, as a kid growing up in town, you always felt maybe a little bit underrepresented. You don't. The Portuguese or this. Because you get sort of generalized or you get labeled. The Portuguese are hard workers. The Portuguese are these really sort of endearing qualities, but it was almost like that's who you are, and you are only that. Right. No, but I think we're so much more than that. Right. Me personally, I always felt like, wait, we are that. We are hard workers. We're great masons. We're great carpenters. We're great this. We're great tradespeople. We're certainly that. But we have so much more to give. We have so much more to show. Even on the food side, food front. Everyone starts to say Portuguese food is chouriço, this, that. It's like four things. No, it's four
so
things. Exactly. So I'm like, no, wait a minute. Let me show you that there's those four things. Yes, certainly those four things exist, but we're so much more than those four things. So to me, that's always been like the sort of the impetus. Like, no, we have to show that we have so much more to offer. Right. This is a cultural destination. It's a cultural space. Yep. I always say this, people have heard me say this numerous times. We're in the culture business. Yep. I sell culture. Yep. More so than individual goods. So because this to me is all culture. Right. Handcrafts from Portugal, tin fish from Portugal. You name it. That's this food is culture. Right. And culture is food and handcrafts and so on and artisan goods and this and that. If you look at the space, it's not just food. Right. There's intentional. There's montage that are made in gangs, moçarage. There's pottery. There's fine china from Vista Alegre. Right. But when you walk into Ortigas, you'll see that there's like very fine things. Right. Super, the best that Portugal has to offer. Right. Portugal does not offer any better. Right. So we have this, everything. So
one thing I want to mention is that Michael has scaled the business to the point where he can ship to anywhere in the United States. Hey, if you need to buy something, if you need bacalhau, if you need azeite, if you need a Portuguese assador, a pig, you can order online and get it shipped to your house because they can ship anywhere in the United States. And check out their website. It's portugaliamarketplace.com.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, great.
Thank you, Michael. It's a pleasure. I know this is.
Thank you for listening to my story. I know.
Yeah, it was a long version, not the short version.
Yeah.